Have you ever thought to yourself, I'm too happy, I have too much happiness, I just need a little bit more misery in my life? Well, apparently I did, because after the absolute fiasco that was Shield Hero Season 2, I was just too curious and I had to check out Shield Hero Season 3. I wouldn't say that Shield Hero is a guilty pleasure of mine, because it's not pleasure, it's more like shock therapy. I need a little bit of pain once in a while to remind me of how good comfort can be. I need to sprinkle in some crappy anime to remind myself to enjoy the good stuff while it lasts. Coming into this season, my immediate thought was there is no way this is actually worse than the second season, right? I mean, never say never, but season 2 was to me the biggest mismatch in terms of series quality and series popularity probably that I have ever seen. Season 2 was awful in pretty much everything, from the story to the animation, which was stilted and included that janky CGI turtle which reminded me of a boss from Metin 2, shout out to those of you who understand that reference, to the characters. The villains were just unbearable, the dialogue was atrocious, that book guy, which was the main villain for season 2, has got to be the front runner for worst villains in anime of the last 10 years, and the secondary characters were just bland, unoriginal, and all shared this weird, perverse sentiment of loving to be Naofumi's slave, which is just off-putting and strange to watch. Besides the hunting hero, whose power set was interesting, and that brief moment in the story where Raftalia was promoted to katana hero, which was also, I would say, pretty compelling, the entire season was just a bunch of blech. And my initial instinct that this season would be better was actually right. The first few minutes of the first episode were actually pretty decent, with smoother animation, grittier character designs, and a banger opening both visually and musically. It seemed that even Mad Kid knew that season 2 was not worth the effort, so they just phoned it in and picked it up for this new opening. So everything was looking pretty good as far as Shield Hero goes, of course, but I knew deep down, I'm a veteran, I will not be fooled, because I've been in these trenches of sucky anime. And yes, I read people online saying you shouldn't judge the series based on the turtle arc because it was the worst in the series, but let's be honest here, Shield Hero didn't fall off. Shield Hero was always bad, it simply oscillated between various levels of suckage. The same author that wrote seasons 1 and 2 is not all of a sudden going to write a great compelling story, it's just not happening. So I knew that the anime director was luring me in with some eye candy, but I cannot be blindsided because my eyes are wide open. The first episode starts with the Shield Harem going into an underground arena to get money to free slaves because, you know, Naofumi is such a good, virtuous person. I actually liked the Underground Arena storyline. It was very shonen-esque and grittier and less convoluted than Shield Hero usually is, and strangely enough it reminded me of some mods from Skyrim that I greatly enjoyed, and also series that are much better than Shield Heroes such as Baki and Kengan Ashura. But obviously, anything that is remotely captivating about Shield Hero has to be quickly sped through because we have to devote our time to the ever-growing harem of lollies which have no personality besides being cute and very subservient to our main character, who he himself is also flatter than a pancake. So by the end of episode 2, this storyline that I was actually enjoying is just done because we are moving on to better things, and every single speck of happiness that this series provides me is quickly gobbled up by the black hole of bad writing. I will say though, I did like the killer whale lady. I found her character design very funny. I enjoyed watching her transform from this voluptuous lady into this chubby killer whale humanoid thingy with titties. That was funny. And of course, if she's a girl in this series, she has to be added to the harem of our main protagonist. But hey, at least this one looks like a grown adult woman, so that's already better than 90% of the cast. And after these first 2 episodes, it's actually amazing how fast the series just fell off a cliff. It's amazing that this series can so quickly go back to its baseline level of suckiness after showing a single glimpse of something that could be interesting. So is the story better now than it was in season 2? And I think that's kind of a trick question because up until now there's no story in season 3. As bad as it was, at least in season 2, I knew that there were very clear objectives. I mean, defeat the turtle and then go back to the original world and defeat the book guy. Here, it seems that every episode is just another new random event, and then there's this Phoenix battle that's being foreshadowed in a few months, and meanwhile it's just random stuff happening and I don't know where we're going. So let's once again break it down by episode. For example, episode 3, they save their village from some slavers. Why was the village in danger, you ask? It's because the shield hero had some business to attend to, and so he took every single capable fighter in the village with him, leaving only the demi-human kids behind. Once again, the brilliant strategic mind of the shield hero just in full display. Why did he do this? They never explain. Does it make more sense in the light novel? Perhaps. Do I care? No. Moving on. Episode 4, we add yet another lolly to the harem. This one has a scissor and a needle. Cool. And then we get a very stupid scene where Bichi, who is apparently still alive and relevant in this series for some reason, manipulates Kirito. And why is anyone believing her lies? To be a good, deceptive, manipulative character, you have to be charismatic, deceiving, mysterious. You have to lure in people, make them lower their guard. She is none of those things. She's just blatantly evil and annoying, and her name is Bichi. Like, this was written by a 14-year-old. It's just so stupid. Even if she was a compelling villain, which she is not, I could not take her seriously purely based off her name. It's just lame. And then the spear hero is depressed because he realizes that he's an idiot. Understandable. And what is his magical character development? Can they actually redeem this almost completely unsympathetic, irredeemable character? His character development is that he is now in love with Philo and he calls Naofumi father. What the actual f***? We are only in episode 4 and Shield Hero has already achieved peak fictional diarrhea. Episode 5, we are attacked by random background characters who barely have a character design but can apparently summon a meteor from the sky. Okay, and we defeat them and we move on. And by this point you can see the animation is kind of falling off, lots of panning shots in the mountain scene. Episode 6, we get Kirito's backstory, and say all you want, this guy is actually more bland and less likable than the actual Kirito from Sword Art Online. Say whatever you want, I would 1000% recommend watching Alicization over whatever this is. Episode 7, Kirito is now just another dude that's part of the crew, I guess, and he's developing a romance with Pink Hair Girl, which after seeing what the Spear Hero is up to, honestly, this is just better by comparison. And by this point, it's like, what am I watching? It feels like every episode starts at the village and we do some random slice of life elements and some random stuff, and more characters are introduced, like there's not enough character bloat in the series already. Nobody is fleshed out, nobody is developed, we just keep introducing more stuff, and like, why? In this episode, we are now introduced to Alchemist Girl, who is apparently now also Naofumi's slave, because of course she is. Everybody is his slave, but he's such a good guy. Never forget that. It's like, what is this writer's obsession with slavery? What is this deep-rooted insecurity he has? Was he bullied in school? Does he somehow make up for his insecurities by just subjugating every character in his fictional writing? Like, what is wrong with this guy? Is he on a watch list? He should be. And this secondary cast is just too much. It keeps growing like a cancer, and every other character is pretty much just a character design. Everybody is so bland and forgetful. They only have like 1 or 2 quirks for each character, like Killer Whale Lady likes alcohol, Alchemist Lady likes animals. Like, who's supposed to be keeping track of all of this? Everybody's so bland and nobody matters. Because you focus on every single character and there's so many of them, you end up focusing on none. And once again, these characters are so plain that I'm using the word character very liberally here. They're not characters, they're gacha items, which Naofumi just collects. For example, that lolly girl, like, what's her name? See, you don't even know which one I'm talking about because I just described 90% of the cast. But I'm speaking about the green-haired one from season 2. She was built up as supposed to be something, and more than half this season in, and she has done Nothing. Not a single interesting line of dialogue besides just moaning every time Naofumi does something remotely impressive. She's just there in the background. It's like she doesn't even exist. Instead of having so many bullcrap characters, just narrow it down and focus on some, and maybe then you can try to build up some relationships, which hopefully don't also involve slavery. And they keep distracting the viewer with all of these lame gimmicks which are just strange and out of nowhere. For example, in one episode, Naofumi hatches a dragon egg on his back, okay, and then the dragon hatches into this tiny red dragon thingy, who then proceeds to eat a gem and transform into this abomination of a CGI Charizard and then just fly away like, what am I watching? And we are now 7 episodes into a 12 episode season and there's just nothing going on. At least the other seasons had the waves to numb you down at how empty everything was. Here, there's not even that. And I'm of the opinion that Shield Hero Season 2 was actually a very good case study for every single stupid trope of isekai. Shield Hero Season 2 was in the so bad it's good category. It's sort of like The Room of isekai anime. It's just enjoyable in a perverse, ironic way. Shield Hero Season 3 has just been bad, plain boring bad. It has been prettier, sure, the opening is better, but besides the animation, I don't have much more positive to say about this. So to answer the question, is Season 3 better than Season 2? Yes, by default, sort of, if we're looking at it from an objective standpoint, whatever that means, because the bar, first of all, the bar from Season 2 was ground level low, let's just make that perfectly clear, and Season 3 is prettier, which is something, but besides that, I thought that even though Season 2 had more flaws, it was more entertaining watching the train wreck. Here, it's just plain bad, and that there's not much here to watch, it's just plain uninteresting. So yes, Shield Hero Season 3 is a dumpster fire as expected, and the fact that this is, according to my anime list, the most popular anime of this season over things like Frieren, Spy Family, and even Shangri-La, honestly makes me lose all hope, and makes me realize that the fake misquoted words of Miyazaki are in fact correct. Anime was a mistake.